All right, part 2 of my rambling and very quick talking. We're talking about the Xfinity Series at Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. When we're looking at this series, major. Oh, man. This pricing is really fucked. So, we have the situation where we have multiple cars going to be going to the rear next, my bad. They're going to be going to the rear because they went to backup because they tore things up. They had to change engines. They had to change transmission. Whatever the case is, Creed, Curry, Mills, Vargas, Castle, Jones, Austin Hill, Ryan Ellis, Gralla, Buford, Yaley, Brown, and Parsons are all going to be going to the rear at the start of this race. They're all going to take times. I would imagine they all take times because they need to select pits off of that. So we're going to have people... hold on a minute. I got a phone call I got to take. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we have those guys going to be going to the rear on Saturday. And so they're going to take a time. So let's say Austin Hill in the backup car for the RCR gang. He qualifies 11th fastest. And he's got to go to the rear. So he's going to be scored from 11th, going to the rear. This doesn't bother me at all because you're either interested in these guys or you're not playing them. Them going to the back does not bother me at all, to be honest with you. Like Creed, doesn't bother me. I'm either going to be interested in Creed from practice and his speed and qualifying or I'm not. Same thing with Curry, same thing with Castle, with Jones, Austin Hill, Yaley, Brown, Parsons, whatever the case is, I don't hate this. I just really don't. So that doesn't bother me. Second, we got David Starr in the contention for the biggest misprice of all time, which is very, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate, man. David Starr in the SS Greenlight Racing Machine, $4,500. Value, basically, all Starr has to do is just run Starr's life. Just do the normal David Starr run and you're making value. Very easily right there. 5x, 5.8, 6, whatever the case is, gross misprice. High chalk, high chance of being optimal. That's the situation we're in this week for David Starr. So that's mighty unfortunate. Because in my mind, I feel like the Truck Series and Xfinity, for me, really feels like single entry this week. Truck Series, I'm not that high in making lines this week. Making a lot of lineups this week. It really just feels like I'm going to end up building one line, liking it, playing it, not playing nearly as much as I normally do, and just calling it a day. And then same thing with Xfinity. So let's just say Starr's optimal. We're building with 5 guys. There's a good chance we cut down a player pool to at least 16 guys post-qualifying. And so at least with me, there's a high chance I build one line this week for Truck at Xfinity and move some of that money over to the Cup Series, depending on how stupid their qualifying gets. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So when we go through the grid here for Xfinity, or at least the salaries here for Xfinity, I think you play David Starr. I think you call it a day. And really how the Auto Club played out, and I think it's going to play out very similar to that at a lot of these tracks this year, to where we don't necessarily have just one guy running away with the race. We don't even have necessarily 2 guys running away with the race. I think we build we go 3-4 dominator type lineups. You know? That's how it is. Or play 3-4 of because I hate the term dominator. So we got to try and think of a different way. And I don't even dislike it for the way Pierce dislikes it. I just don't like the word because this is a great example to where there is no such thing as a dominator in this race. It's going to be laps led spread out. There's going to be fast laps spread out. So let's say we want at least 4 of the top 8 projected drivers in every line. I think that's a great way to put it, you know? So yeah, and especially because these races are going to be decided on pit road, and with a lot of these, big teams, the Joe Gibbs race and the Junior Motorsports teams not using, the A team, not using the Cup Series team. We got a bunch of these, goobers right out of collegiate sports who weren't good enough for the NFL, who weren't good enough for the USFL, who weren't good enough to play at your your local hockey team or whatever the case is. They're just big, strong guys who need a job, and they've never really worked on cars before. And so that's why you saw last week, you saw Joe Gibbs Racing, pretty much constantly lose the lead, and really get put behind the 8 ball, just leaving pit road, because these guys don't have the experience that the more consistent pit crews have. And so when you're in those situations, we're going to have a lot of times to where, Ty Gibbs might come into pit road having the lead. He comes out of pit road in 4th. Not a terrible stop, but it doesn't guarantee him the lead out of the caution. When we look at how many people led laps last week at Auto Club, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty insane how well it was spread out. So this is just laps led. Not talking about fast laps right now. We have Brandon Jones lead 3 laps. We have Ty Gibbs lead 3 laps. We have Daniel Hemrick lead 10. We have Justin Allgaier lead 7. AJ Allmendinger lead 13. Trevor Bayne lead 24, man, who lost the lead multiple times due to pit crew. We had Noah Gragson lead 25, and we had Cole Custer lead 80. Cole Custer, the fastest car pretty much that we saw in practice, the guy that we expected to lead amount of laps. So, yeah, Cole Custer was the dominator. But outside of that, it was guys who were up there. It was guys who were leading laps. And so, sure, you want to get the dominator of the race, but you also want to get guys who are also going to be up there getting laps led, who are also going to be up there getting fast laps. So that's why, honestly, in these lineups for this week for Xfinity, I want to try and get 4 guys in my lines that I think are going to be getting fast laps or getting laps led. And step 1 to that is playing the underowned or the underpriced David Starr, which is unfortunate because we're not even talking about Joe Graff Jr. yet, but when we look at the amount of value on the bottom, who's actually going to pay off and actually perform well? CJ McLaughlin, he's going to be outscored by David Starr. Stan Mull is going to be outscored by David Starr. Brandon Poole, probably not even going to make the race. Jesse Iwuji, you fucking suck. Mason Massey, you suck. Matt Mills is going to be a no. Joe Graff Jr., who at this point they haven't changed anything. No rumblings. Thank you for the reporting yet again, NASCAR. Maybe Brock Beard can tell me. Who knows? But is Joe Graff Jr. running the same car that Cole Custer just smoked the field with? At this point, I have to assume yes. Everybody already knew the whole fit that I threw last week when they took Timmy Hill out, and Joe Graff Jr., who just ran poorly all day, ends up finishing, 23rd. That's just how it is. Or, my bad, he ends up finishing 15th. Basically ran 23rd all day. Just got saved in late race yellows. But, look, he's going to have a good car. Same thing with David Starr. These guys are going to have cars that shouldn't necessarily blow up or shouldn't run into issues. And so, it's Joe Graff Jr. and David Starr at the bottom of the totem pole. After that, Kyle Weatherman would be the next guy you want to look at. That's just how it is. Stefan Parsons is going to be a no. Bailey Curry is going to be a yes. Ryan Vargas, going to be a yes. I'd much rather prefer Bailey Curry. Jade Buford, a guy who's probably going to be attempting to run inside the top 20 all day, $6,000, but that's really it right there. Once you get past that, sure, you can argue JJ, you can argue Williams, you can argue Clements, even Ryan Sieg, Casgralla, but at this point, you're already in the 7K range, you're in the 6K range, so who's the value plays that you're looking at this week? It's David Starr, it's Joe Graff Jr., it's Kyle Weatherman. That's how it is. Because really, in my opinion, value plays are about under $5,500. And those are the 3 guys you're going to be building lineups with. That's just how it's going to be. That's why I'm like, kind of fun's over. Don't necessarily just want to be here building lines all Friday night, all Saturday morning. High chance of chalk, high chance of at least pinpointing what the optimal lineup could look like. Like I said, excusing any outrageous stuff in qualifying. But that's really my interest in the guys down there. So it really forces your hand into trying to fit in 4 people of this list right here. Ty Gibbs, Gregson, Allgaier, Allmendinger, Hemrick, Berry, Jones, Jonathan Nemechek. I think you need to try and get 3 of those guys minimum. I'm going to try and stretch for 4. I'm not even sure you can stretch. I should probably check that first and foremost. Let's take a gander. Let's take a NASCAR Gander Truck Series gander at the salaries real quick and try and build a lineup and see how crazy we get. This is crazy Brandon hours. We're gonna be building lineups, ladies and gentlemen, building lineups to play on Thursday. So let's just say I want to play good old Josh Berry. I want Nemechek, Gibbs, and Gregson. What does that leave me with? $4,600. You can get it done. Put Starr in there. You just need Poole, Mullis, or McLaughlin to get you through. Bit of a riskier thing. If I was necessarily going to build that way, I would not put Ty Gibbs into that. But it's easy. It's there. It's not even fun. This isn't fun. This is what I hate mispricings like Starr. I got Barry, Nemechek, Gregson, Hemrick, David Starr. Got $5,900 left. I don't like that. It's too easy. Too easy to build a good line. You can throw Curry in there. You can throw Vargas in there. You can throw Parsons, Weatherman. I don't like this. This is why I'm not interested in the Xfinity Series slate that much. Because it's you're playing for those guys. It's so easy. You know? And then it gets even easier if you take 3 guys, above 9K, and then you play like a Riley Herbst, an Austin Hill, a Myatt Snyder. God forbid you go down and play, Anthony Alfredo again, Brett Moffitt again. I don't like these builds. I don't like weeks like this to where, and I don't say this because I don't want to sound like one of those idiots who are like, oh, you got 150 lines, you're going to make the optimal lineup really easy. But if you're got 150 lines, you can cover quite a lot of bases here, gentlemen. You got 150, you got a good chance of building lines that are going to finish top 20% in the contest. Even if you're running 20 max, I believe in your ability to make 16 of those lineups realistically have a chance of being a top 20% lineup. And of those 16 lines, 3 would have a chance of being in top 100 finishing positions. That's how I look at this slate. It's, if you're mildly competent, you have a chance to build a lineup that has a high percentage of cashing. That's just how it is. And it's all because of David Starr. It's all because of Joe Graff Jr. The David Starr is interesting, man. It's just a gross misprice, man. It really is. You need him to do the fucking bare minimum to get there. You can even make an argument that if David Starr wrecks in this race, unless he starts stupid high up, which I don't think he does, he'll be fine. It's insane, man. It's insane in the membrane how much this ruined this slate. It's really unfair that you have a SHR, a line, and basically that I just assume that just means that SS Greenlight is legit, even if it's not the car that Custer's running. They're buying their Ford engines from Stewart-Haas. Or at least having of old chassis from Stewart-Haas. It's just gross mispricing for these guys. And it's just not fun. And you can be like, oh, you're being, a sourpuss. Grow up and play. But look, the edge is cut down for the Xfinity slate. It really is. And I don't like playing slates like this. I really don't. I don't like it. Because let's say my example line that I have right now that I would probably end up playing. You got Josh Berry. Where's Berry going to start? 7th? That's fine. John Hunter Nemechek, will that thing start 10th, start 6th? Don't matter. Noah Gregson, probably going to start 3rd or 4th. Daniel Hemrick, probably going to start 5th or 2nd, whatever the case is. That's perfectly fine. You can throw Allgaier in there. You can throw other guys in there. If you end up starting in your line 3 guys who start in the top 7, that's perfectly fine with how led and fast laps are going to be given out. I don't like this slate, this Xfinity Series slate at all. Which is not unfortunate. That's not even considering the fact that we got these idiots who are probably going to end up doing something stupid. People are going to get in the wall. People are going to, which we saw last time we were here. We saw Rex in both Las Vegas races of guys just being stupid on restarts. And so that's another aspect of I just don't really like this slate a whole lot. I'm not a big fan of the Xfinity Series slate. So anyway, that's my preview. We're going to be live Saturday. I'll talk to you some more. We'll figure it out how I want to do it, because we are qualifying on Friday, so we have a whole day, which is even worse. I like when we have about a 2-hour window to make lines, but now that we get another day, people are going to be, basically coming up with the same things that I just said, and kind of just ruins the whole vibe of the Xfinity Series at Vegas. But anyway, I'm going to be live Friday talking about the Truck Series. Going to be live Saturday talking about the Xfinity. I'm going to be live Sunday talking about the Cup Series. Thank you for watching. If you want to support me, support Pish, you can go join the Patreon. And thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time.